This is the men's room.
Forget it, man, and get with the countdown. Shake this square world and blast off for Kicksville. The trippers, the grasshoppers, the hippies, all gathered in secrecy and flying high as a kite.
You're listening to the men's room with Miles and Thrill.
One of our friends jumping on right now at Bayou 95.7 in New Orleans, where there's absolutely zero humidity. Also at Rock 100.5, The Cat in Oklahoma City. And our friends at 98.3, The Keg in Fayetteville, Arkansas. Big show for you. Ryan Castle, the Drunk at Charge, is coming in to sit and spin today. The 10 saddest songs in Disney movies. And what you don't need to know finds out if you are cheap or frugal. And a ton of stories recently involving water, from the study of cocaine in the water, so much that it's affecting eels. We touched on that on our last episode. Long story short, there's so many drugs in the water system in England, specifically the Thames and other rivers, that they did studies to find out the drug levels, and then they simulated those studies in a science experiments to find out how the animals reacted based on the exact same percentage of drugs that are in the water as far as the experiment as well. And it turns out that it's kind of making the eels lethargic. They don't want to mate, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera.
Well, they start off hyper, as Coke is wont to do, but after that, they get lethargic, stay lethargic. Remember, in the Puget Sound, they did a study.
Oysters and clams.
Yeah, but the difference is, if I remember this right, I'm not 100%, they're not... It's not so much that they're affected by the amount of opiates that are in the Puget Sound. So opiates, not cocaine, are the things in the Pacific Northwest, but they filter all this stuff out. So while it didn't have any effect on them, I guess fish or birds that feed on them, like they passed it on to them. So they're doping up the animals that eat them, but they themselves are fine. I think that's how I understood it. Which makes me, frankly, want to get some oysters.
Our question, what was on or in the water? 844-999-OLA.
I mean, the River Thames is in London. That does not shock me.
Yeah, cocaine, sure.
Oh,
But the amount of cocaine.
have a bit of snow.
How is there so much cocaine in the water, though?
Well, you pee it
I mean,
out.
is it back through your pee and all that? I guess.
I think that's all. That's all of it is.
It's not just like people dumping bags of cocaine into the Thames to see what happens.
We both know people aren't dumping bags of cocaine.
I'm like, there's no way.
Who are these crazy people?
There's no way that's what it is.
If there's not like a alphabet boy knocking on your door, people aren't just readily dumping out bags of stuff.
You can go to the strip club and make it rain, but no one's dumping out their cocaine. Like, I don't want it.
Right.
You guys take the cocaine.
Hello, Chris. Welcome to the men's room.
Hola.
Hola.
So I used to work at a movie theater when I was 18, and there's so many stories that I'm not going to say them all, because that's one of the grossest places you can ever go.
It's good to know. Good to know.
So during a sold-out set, I was working in the box office and the concession stands, and the septic decided to come up. And everyone was in the movie theaters, and people were outside waiting to get in, and we were still selling tickets and everything. And I ended up, my boss told me to put trash bags on my feet because I was stepping in almost a foot deep of sewage.
And where are you I mean, you just behind the concession stand? Like, where are you?
Yeah.
So you're behind the concession. Now, if I go up to order my popcorn, do I notice that you're standing in a foot of poop?
I hope not.
Okay.
But what about the smell? I mean,
I gotta say, I'm not trying to defend movie theaters in general, but it's not going to the movies as a hellhole and disgusting. Where you worked individually was a hellhole and disgusting. Like, again, back to the restaurant analogy, like, most people don't cook in a kitchen with garbage bags on their feet in a foot of sewage because they have it's an isolated incident.
That's not the norm.
But you're working in an S-hole, dude. Like, I'm sorry, man. You can't really blame the movie industry on...
Wait, what was the movie? I'm just curious. What's the movie that people are lined up to see?
Swamp Thing?
Shrek.
All right.
Oh, wow. So
That's kind of ironic.
I know you're standing in a pile of Shrek, and then people are lining up for it.
Yeah.
Dude, I had to do the same thing in a bar I worked out. Like, something happened. Keep in mind, this bar, at the end of the night, we just rinsed down with hoses.
Yeah.
And the sewage started coming up through the drains in the bar. So then I had to sit out there, and people, there's regulars. Like, you can't come in tonight. Why? There's sewage coming out of the... What? I mean, it didn't stop any of them from coming back the next day, but it was disgusting.
Hey, man, look, if it's a bar, people are going to come back. But at least you did not let them come in. He's working at a movie theater. It's like, keep serving popcorn.
Yeah, good point.
You know what I mean? Not even just like, hey, you're in the movie theater. Like, no, serve these people food in open containers while you stand in a foot of sewage.
What was on or in the water? 844-999-OLA.
Hello, Steve. Welcome to the men's room.
Hola.
Hola.
Okay, so I was in 5th grade, and I went camping with my grandpa. And this was down in Texas. And I was down there fishing in the lake. He was up doing something, and I caught a catfish. And I was all excited, and I threw it on the stringer, and I ran up to tell my grandpa. I was like, hey, I caught a fish. Come check it out. And he's like, okay, I'll be down there in a minute. It had been 5 minutes since I put it on the stringer. So I go back down there, and I cast my line out again. And when I cast it out, I looked down, and a water moccasin had swallowed the catfish and was now stuck on the stringer.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. And when it did it, of course, I freaked out and went and told my grandpa, and he was like, oh, whatever, there's no way.
It's just a water moccasin.
Like, no, seriously. What's that?
That's just a water moccasin. Relax.
Yeah. He didn't even believe. Well, no, he didn't believe me. He was like, "There's no way it happened that fast." And I was like, "No, seriously." So I go back down there, and he comes with me, and he looks down. He's like, "Whoa, you weren't kidding," He goes up and gets his pistol and comes back down. He shoots it a couple of times, and it's just kind of laying there. And I pick up a stick and I hit it, and when I hit it, it just started hissing and screaming. It was crazy, man. It was like freaking out. And he was like, oh, crap, and then he unloaded on it, shot it like 5 more times, and it finally kind of killed over.
I mean, do we all agree? Because I keep hearing these stories about snakes, right? People have chopped the heads off. An hour has passed. In one case, the guy was bitten by the head. In another case,
2 stories of that.
The snake's body, right? 2 different issues, but the snake's body instinctively knows where you are, and even though it doesn't have a mouth, it's still kind of snapping. Yeah. He shot it several times. It's still alive. Can we agree that maybe, possibly, when it comes to snakes, if you don't light them on fire, they're not dead?
Yeah, man. He shot it like 5 times, dude, and 3 times at least right in the head.
That's what I mean.
And those snakes are really, really aggressive, too. Like, yes. we were out on his boat one time on the same lake, and a snake actually tried to jump up in the boat.
See, that's not all right.
Don't mess with snakes.
That is terrible.
I mean, snakes don't bother me, but I'm still not okay with him jumping out of the water into my boat. Like, at that point, that's an issue.
They're crazy poisonous, too, man. Like, if I'd have gotten bit by one out there, it would have been pretty bad.
Yeah, well, it's cut. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, cottonmouth and watermouth, they're the same thing.
Saying this, or I've been saying this for 2 weeks. Like, they're evil, dude.
Well, they come through your toilet, so that's going to scare you anyway.
Right, I'm just saying, especially those poisonous ones, the vipers that attack and everything.
But they can do it so many ways. So they can just, the poison basically kills you from the inside out.
Yeah.
You basically just get all hot and die from the inside. You boil on the inside.
So what are the poisonous snakes we have here?
Or we have the woman that got eaten in Indonesia the other day. She was out trying to make sure that her chickens didn't get eaten by boars or some crap, and she goes out there, and the next thing you know, they can't find her. They find her shoes, they find her backpack, they find her walking stick, and then they find a 23-foot-long snake in a big lump, and they cut it open, and she's inside.
They knew it was her.
So they can.
That was not a box of Cracker Jacks. You're like, hey man,
a couple different ways.
I think Mary's right there. I'm just guessing, but that's a Mary shape. What are the poisonous snakes? We have rattlesnakes, the water moccasins. What are the copper or something?
Copperheads,
cottonmouth. North America wise, it's probably the majority of it. I mean, I think a rattlesnake's probably.
But that's always number one, right?
Yeah, just based on the amount of time.
But it seems the amount of area they cover.
Right, they cover a huge area, but it seems like you'd rather be bitten by that than a water moccasin. As far as the amount of time you have to get it dealt with.
Just depends on how quickly you can get to where you need to get an antivenom.
No, but that's what I mean. With a rattlesnake. Oh, God,
that's the worst, probably.
So you've got coral snakes, are water moccasins and cottonmouth the
same?
They're the same.
Yeah.
They're the same. So you've got cottonmouth, coral snakes, rattlesnakes. There's 3 different kinds.
Sure.
The county I grew up in North Carolina, had every kind of venomous snake in North America in it. So that was a good time.
Cool. That's really nice.
Yeah, it was
when
great.
we lived in Colorado, we had rattlesnake drills because we were kids in an elementary school, and that was the main danger, I guess, we were in. And we heard, at least with you had about 24 hours before the S is going to hit the fan, and that's as a child. But when we would get to school, we had a little playground out there. They had the sandbox, and this was every day. The teachers would make us stand against the school until the workmen were done. And the workmen were these 2 dudes wearing tank tops, just scooping rattlesnakes out of the sandbox. And it was always the same thing. When they gave the all clear, the guy that did always had a cigarette in his mouth, right? So one guy had the bag, one guy had the pole, and they would scoop out 3 or 4, and they'd put them in, and he'd rake the pole through a little more, see if he could find anything. But when he gave the all clear, the words he always said to the same woman, Miss Seth, He'd look at him and say, all right, I think we got them all. But it was always, I think we got them all. Not, hey, I know we got them all.
We got as many as we could possibly get.
But they were like, go ahead, get in the sandbox.
That's better than not.
Good times. Good times.
What was on or in the water? 844-999-OLA.
Hello, Shane. Welcome to the men's room.
Hi, how you guys doing?
Hola.
So, I was fishing with a couple buddies out in a place called CQ. Fishing early in the morning. We see a pizza box floating out in the water, and I don't like littering. My buddies don't like that either, so we go to scoop it up, put it in the net, throw it in the boat. Well, there wasn't pizza in the box. Somebody had took a crap in the box.
Jesus. And threw it out into the
it
lake.
looked like a brand new box. We thought maybe we were going to score some pizza. Not the case.
Not some river pizza, but a river pickle.
Someone took a crap. I mean, but it had to be fairly fresh. It had to be right in the last.
New.
Yeah, like
obviously that morning someone was drinking whiskey that night. Eating pizza.
You could smell
it. Crap in a box and set it everywhere.
What did you do with it? Did you catch it on fire and put it back out?
What are you supposed to do? You flick it out and what are you gonna do? I mean, it just ruins your day.
Did you catch anything?
That's brutal.
Nobody step over there.
Did you catch anything that day? Was that like a sign of luck or anything? Like if you see a pizza box.
I actually think we did pretty well that day.
All right. Well, you were chumming.
No, it's only a sign of good luck on your wedding day.
I mean, technically.
Hey, man, you find a pizza box full of turds on your wedding
Float
day.
in the pool.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Nothing good luck. By the way, somebody, and to make a good point, they're talking about snakes. They say snakes are venomous, not poisonous. Venomous equals I bite you and you die. Poisonous means you bite me, but you still die. You lose,
yeah.
Right,
like a mushroom. You eat a poisonous mushroom.
It's not venomous, right?
All right, they're venomous.
What was on or in the water? 844-999-OLA. More your calls coming up. You are listening to the Men's Room Radio Network.
We return to the men's room with Miles and Thrill.
Oh, man, this is bad news if you're in New Jersey. What's one of the best things you can do in New Jersey? You go to the beach in the summertime. It's beautiful beaches. But a lot of Jersey beaches
man,
are now closed, including two of the bigger ones. 2 New Jersey beaches are closed after the level of fecal bacteria in the water. Wow. Did not get below the state limit for the second day in a row. The New Jersey Department of Environmental Protection is testing for the poop, both of human and animal variety in the water.
I was going to ask, what's the source of that much poop in the water? I mean, because every animal in the ocean's pooping in the ocean, right? And that's still not enough to send the fecal level over.
What beaches did they close there, Miles?
The state, they've been closing a lot of the beaches. This report, let's see, this was Brick Township, which is a pretty big area, and Pine Beach Borough.
All right.
So I'm guessing
Do you know where they
someplace near Seaside Heights, between there and Red Bank, somewhere in that area, kind of north middle.
I mean, everybody only knows the Jersey Shore, but, like, seriously, the beaches there are beautiful.
Oh, my God, Long Beach Island. No, seriously, Cape May, Ocean City. You can say what you want about New Jersey, but the food,
you just got to watch out, right? Seaside, Belmar, you're going to deal with some people.
Yeah, I mean, you're going to go, and it's Jersey.
What does that mean?
It's exactly what you
You're
think
going to deal with Jersey guy. Like, when I went to the Jersey Shore, we stayed in the town next to Belmar, right?
All right.
So one morning we got up and got the breakfast. If you heard the story, my buddy Will, we were like 21 at the time, so his one car door was a different color than the rest of his car. And as we're leaving, like Dunkin' Donuts, just Jersey guys were just like, "Oh, what's wrong with you two? The freaking doors ain't even the right."
Oh yeah,
it was like they wanted to get in a fight,
but they didn't want to.
Poor.
They weren't even wanting to get in a fight. They probably just were talking to you.
No, they were very aggressive.
Oh, were they really?
Yeah. Look at these two.
Yeah, look at this.
Right, it was like, dude, like, right? It's like 10 a.m. Like we're poor. Sorry, but so that's why when I say Seaside and Belmar, you're going to deal with like Jersey Shore type guys.
It's very yoke.
Avon, there's a ton of beautiful beaches there, though.
Like you could seriously get steroids there.
Oh, yeah.
Like, I mean, you'd really have to know somebody and know the right channels to go through if you wanted to do something like that. I mean, you'd have to know somebody special. You can get them in New Jersey like no problem.
Oh, yeah. Sorry, I was like, in Jersey?
No,
Yeah,
steroids.
there.
No,
Hey, man.
I mean, you can get them. You can
If
readily
you go
get
to
them.
New Jersey
When
and
I
you walk
was-
into a bar and say, "Is anyone holding?" They pull out steroids before they pull out weed.
When I played in college, man, on the football team, all the steroids came from New Jersey.
Sure.
One guy had a train from Mexico, but everybody else.
Oh, hey, get the Mexican steroid.
Oh, you kidding me? You could walk. There was a time when you could walk into a pharmacy in Mexico and get anything you wanted.
Sure.
And
We
then
call those the good old days,
just
Miles.
fly back. Like with just a butt ton of drugs in your suitcase.
Butt ton pharmacy. Butt ton pharmacy. We got what you need.
Depends on where you want to put it.
You
but-
supply the
I was
butt.
gonna say,
We supply
It
the
might
drugs.
be a butt ton. You never know. What was on or in the water? 844-999-OLA.
That guy's really relaxed. Well, you should see the amount of Xanax he's got in his whole keister.
And hoo-ha!
He's trying not to fart. You know how hard that is on
I
a
got
plane?
Xanax in my hoo-ha!
The number one thing you want to do on a plane is fart, and he's holding them all in.
And he pops a Xanax like a Pez
Amazing.
dispenser.
He doesn't want to blow a balloon
Every time
out.
a fart, a Xanax drops out his pant
Like
leg.
a pong ball shoots out.
Comment came in here. It says, deep sea fishing with a couple of friends. When something tagged a line. About almost an hour later, fighting, we ended up peeking over the side of the boat to find a great white shark dangling on the side of the boat.
Oh, wow.
We cut the line quick.
Yeah.
Dude, I was swimming in the ocean once, just off the, Ocean City, and the water had to be at least 4 feet deep, and I was on a boogie board, and I kicked something. To this day, I contend it was a shark.
Probably
Think
did.
it was a shark, man?
Yeah.
It was so big. You know what I mean? Like when I kicked it, it wasn't like just a random fish. I mean, the whole top of my foot kicked like the whole.
You know what's happening in the ocean right now? There's a shark looking at his friends going, and then this son of a bitch kicked me in the goddamn
They call
face.
it the intercoastal waterway. Look, man, if there's a beach area and there's land, like that's the main road for sharks and fish and everything
I
else.
think
Like,
it's easier eating,
that's
though, right?
their highway, man.
I would think.
I mean, you're stepping into their highway going like, boy, I hope I don't get hit by these cars.
I've never actually, outside of an aquarium, I've never seen a shark. But I was in the Bahamas as a kid, and in one instance during the day, a bunch of people are in the water, and somebody yelled shark, and they seemed pretty serious about it. But anyway, once they said shark, as you would imagine, everybody is running toward the land. But I remember this one guy, he pops out of nowhere, and I mean, he ran in. He did not try to swim. He ran all the way in, all the way onto the beach, like clearly out of harm's way up the beach, but his trunks had come down, all right? So it's just pubes everywhere. No, but he drops on the beach, all right? So you can't help but kind of notice. I mean, it wasn't really, like, funny in that moment, but then, like, 15 seconds later, you see this woman getting out of the water. His wife that he left in there, man, she was not pleased.
Oh, sure.
You effing left me in the effing. It's a packed beach, man, and she's just screaming at this guy. And he didn't care in that moment. He was so glad to be alive. But there was a night we're out there. There's like 4 of us sitting there, and we hear this weird sound in the water. It's like, but we can't see anything because it's night, right? And it's going on for a couple of minutes, and we can tell it's getting closer, but it's moving real slow. Finally, man, this brother pops out, right, with his, not scuba, snorkel gear on, okay? And he's looking at us. We look at him, and it's this real weird moment. And as a kid, I don't piece together what this is. He's delivering drugs, right?
Oh.
But I don't understand this at the moment, but I'm there with adults. They're looking at him. He's looking at us. He gets this huge smile and goes, "They're not two I'm looking for, man." And he disappears.
Back in the water.
Man, just snorkel the hell out. It's like the weirdest thing, man.
Hello.
You're not the people I'm looking for, man. And he, man, off he went. Poof. Yeah.
Just disappeared.
Hello, Rich. Welcome to the men's room.
Hola, gentlemen. How you doing?
Hola.
Yeah, this is Rich, your driver for the Lucid Lion Pride Experience from Saturday.
Oh, well,
up, Rich?
Rich. Yes, thank you, sir.
No problem. You guys were a blast. Can I give a shout-out real quick to a couple guys?
Sure.
Okay, Trevor Schulten, J.P. Brohan, and Billy Loveless. They promised if I give them a shout-out, they'd be there next year, or I'll pound them into the mud.
All right, fair enough.
That's a healthy relationship.
Fair trade.
Anyway, I grew up out in Gig Harbor, and we were water skiing out by Fox Island. Me and a buddy, he's driving the boat, and I'm skiing. All of a sudden, I'm going along, and I see this big, dark object in the water, and I go, what the heck is this? And I look down, and it's going the same way. It was a whale. And I looked down, and I couldn't quite tell what it was. And all of a sudden, I start pointing to the water with my buddy, and he's looking back, not knowing what's going on. Well, just about that time, the whale pops up and blows the water out. My buddy gets this look on his face, and being the smart man that he is, he tries to knock me off the water ski. So he starts turning sideways and left and right in front of this whale. So I got to ski next to a whale.
That's pretty crazy.
Without hitting it.
Yeah.
How long was it beside you?
We were passing it up as we were going a little faster. I'd say about 5 seconds.
All right. It's good enough, man.
As we go along. And then when that big tail came up next to me and flopped down, it's like, oh, boy, this is going to be fun if I fall.
They like to do that. My dad, when I was younger, I used to spend some time with him in the summer in Florida, and he had a little catamaran, like a little Hobie sailboat. And there was a couple natural or state parks, and we would sail out to the parks, and along the way, porpoises would just come along for the ride.
Sure.
Depending on what the deal was. And one day we were coming back, and there was this.
Why do you think that is?
I don't. Maybe they just like to run.
What's up?
Yeah, they like to jump in the back of the waves and all. I have no idea, but you always feel like you could reach down and pet him. But my dad's like, don't do that crap. But
yeah. Keep your hands.
But there was one day where this huge black cloud came under the boat, and in the Gulf of Mexico, you can see very well. The water is incredibly clear. You can see fish. You can see. I mean, it's really clear water, and even to 15 feet, 20 feet, it's pretty normal to be able to see all the way down to the bottom of the Gulf. And this particular time, this big, huge ass black shadow appears underneath the boat, and I don't think anything of it. I look down. I'm like, that's not a shade. I thought it was from the sail. I thought.
Oh, okay.
I thought a shade was hitting it somehow based on where we were, whatever the deal was, and then it just takes off. And we didn't hear anything. We didn't see anything for a while. And then it was probably about 60 seconds later, this manta just breaches out of the water. And when he hit, man, it sounded like a ton of dynamite going off. It was like, boom. I mean, it was like unbelievable, the sound. Just because it's all that mass, man.
Yeah.
And it's hitting flat like a huge belly flop, man. So they just take off through the air. And this thing is probably like 6-7 feet across. They're huge.
Do you think it hurts like a belly flop does? Like
No,
if he
I
just
think-
brings it over.
But I think they're like, it's like, hey man, we're going with you. It just seems like when you're on that boat, man.
I think he's saying, "Oh, I want to see what it is." I mean,
the animals just gotta go.
So they jump out of the water to almost scratch themselves.
All right.
The manta rays. It's the weirdest thing to see.
Yeah, it's crazy. And when they hit, man, you're like, golly.
he was itchy.
I remember
See,
scared.
here you are saying he wanted to go along for the ride, and in the end, he's like, "My back itches."
Right. Come on, man. Scratch me, man.
That's right.
Like,
which is
My
kind of
back
It's like
itches,
any
bro.
other dog. Like, rub my head.
Right. That's all.
Well, it's
that
weird,
was.
too, is he's got to get out of the water when he's itchy. I want water on me if I'm itchy.
Mm-hmm.
They can't call them devil rays anymore either. They dropped the devil to get rid of the nasty image. What was on or in the water? 844-999-OLA.
And belly flapping Satan fish. Hello, Vance. Welcome to the men's room.
Hola, bitches.
Hola.
Ever get one up right before you get on the radio?
What's that?
Well, I guess it wouldn't happen to you. It happened to me. I got a water skiing deal.
Okay.
So every day back, ages ago when I was 21 or so, we'd water ski after work. This old crappy lake about a mile from the house, and lots of waterfowl on it. So the water was pretty much 80% duck poop and whatever. Anyway, there's a little island floating dock out in front of these people's house. In the lake, I'd say about 30 yards offshore, something like that. And once in a while, whoever's driving the boat would go right next to it, so whoever was slalom skiing could, go out around it like it was a buoy or something, right?
All right.
So one time there's, I don't know, somewhere between 15 and 25 geese on it, and they're all laying down. It's laying low, and I went out around it. And the majority of them, right before the rope got to them, they stood up like they were going to fly away, and I clotheslined them suckers in the neck. And I knocked almost all of them into the water, and one of them's neck kind of wrapped around the tow rope, and I carried him along for about 20 feet or so before he finally flopped off dead in the water.
God damn.
And these people, so there's the migratory geese, that come through on their way south or whatever in the winter. These were like, the locals that.
The locals. They probably hung out at the local, VFW. These are the local
God,
Canadians.
No, these are like these people's pets, okay? And I just murdered them. And it looked intentional as all get out. It wasn't, obviously, right? I didn't know they were going to.
Well, you're saying obviously, but from their perspective, it looks
I can't
like
believe you clothesline. How many geese did you clothesline? Like 5, 6? How many were? I mean, look.
No, more than that. No, there was like 15 or 20 geese, and I'd say I knocked a dozen of them into the water.
Do you think you
barely
did?
stayed up, and that's a lot of weight. But I was, like I said, I'm 51. I was 21, and I was, we water skied every day. I had pretty incredible upper body strength back then. And,
Bad news for the
somehow I
geese.
stayed up. I mean, I just about went down. Thank God I stayed up, because if I would have been, flop, in the water right in front of their house with all these dead geese around me, they would have flipped. So anyway, my buddy, I had two buddies in the boat, one driving, one spotting me, and they're just beeline for the public boat launch on the other side. Thank God it was the very opposite end of this little lake.
So wait, did anybody see you do this, man?
What's that?
Did anybody see you do? Like, were there people in their backyard
The
witnessing?
people were in their yard on the beach. They shrieked.
Here's the thing about this, okay? Like, I am in general, you try to do right by animals for the most part. You know what I mean?
Sure, man.
Look, I eat meat, so I'm a hypocrite.
Huge animal lover.
I'm a hypocrite.
But they don't believe that.
Yeah, I had a steak last night. But at the same point in time, there's something about, and I pass geese all the time running.
Yeah.
They're asses. Like, I mean, they are just, and I mean, like,
they are.
It's hard to, I would like to try, even the city, who is just like, oh, we love everything. Like, don't hurt the rock.
Right.
The rock has feelings. That's where we live. Like, don't hurt the rock. Don't roll it. They gas those damn things, man. Right. They got a truck. They secretly go around and they throw them in the back, man, and they gas them to death. And then they go and they secretly don't tell anybody
because nobody likes.
I mean,
geese.
in our progressive city, you know what I mean? Like, they gas the geese, so like it's not like that. Even they can't stand it. You know what I mean? So like, it's not that I don't have a heart. I do eat foie gras, so I mean, maybe I don't have a heart. I don't know.
Not for those geese, you don't.
To me, that story sounds okay. Maybe it's situational. That just sounds funny. If it could have been any other animal, I'd probably be like, "Oh God, the horror."
No, I'll give you that,
but not with the geese.
I will give you. All right.
Geese are beautiful when they fly.
Any other animal? There's millions and millions.
So I said, when they're off the ground, up in the air, it's a beautiful.
Now, I'll give you that. Because it was geese, for some reason, I kept chuckling.
Right. And like any other animal.
And I'm picturing it.
If you'd have said swans, I'd be like, oh, God. If you said flamingos, like, oh, Jesus, that's terrible.
Flamingos.
Cranes, ducks, you name it, man. Any other bird. Turkeys.
Turkeys.
I eat turkeys, and I'd still feel better about that.
I don't know, man.
I still feel bad.
I mean, it's a turkey.
Yeah, but it's a turkey.
I got nothing
turkeys
against the turkey, but I'm like,
geese are just, you know, they posture and then they come at you and go, rah!
Like, look, there's only like 2 holidays anybody even consumes you. So, I mean,
you know when you got attacked by those geese in Portland?
Yes, I do.
Right.
Well, they never got close enough to attack. We thought it'd be funny. There had to be, I don't know, like 40 to 50 of them. And our idea was we were going to get a running start, right, and just haul ass through there.
Through the middle of the pack.
But as we're walking up there, like, all the male geese, all of them came around front, right? And they kind of make this little bit of a line. We're still like 80 feet away, man, so it's not like we're close.
No, they're putting a perimeter around.
No, we understood that, and that's when we started our discussion where we began to question the wisdom of what we were about to do. And I said, well, that seems awfully odd, being that we're still like 80 feet away, right? But they're staring at us, all right? And then they get quiet, and then you realize all of the birds are looking at you, but not all of them look aggressive, just the dudes up front. But we kept stepping forward, okay? Now we're about 70 feet from them, and that's when the game changed. When we got within 70 feet, they started walking toward us. And I'm like, see, this seems odd, right? Like, I don't feel like they should be doing that.
Who's drawing the line here?
I think in the end, they probably did. So when we got within about 15 feet, Castle and I looked at each other, and I'm like, man, I'm going to haul ass. What are you going to do? And they chased us down, man. And,
I watched it.
It was unbelievable. Mm-hmm. They are mean. They're mean as F.
That's why I had a hard time not laughing.
It's crazy.
I was like, that is just awesome.
Like, you can break up a fight with dogs, 2 big dogs, but you step in and you break it up, right? The geese, not messing with them.
Just waiting for the hate emails to start rolling in here. How can you not like the geese? I just don't. I have a hard time with the sympathy on the geese.
Yeah.
That's all. I'm just.
Does anybody eat them?
I'm just being dead serious.
Well, they eat pate, right?
Yeah.
But I mean, like, how come we don't eat more goose? Like, just roast it.
Man, they're all over.
Rotisserie goose.
Yeah, it'd probably be greasy as hell.
That's probably why. Probably just tastes like crap, I guess.
Yeah, I mean, I give it a
because
shot.
basically, look, if an
whatever,
animal is tasty, we will make it meat. Right? Lamb. A lamb is the cutest little thing, and then you will shave that bitch and you will grill it up. And it's tremendous. So I got to think with geese, they just don't taste good. Think about squirrels. If squirrels tasted good, we'd have a food source all around.
And why do you got to shove fat down a goose's throat if it wasn't good already?
I don't know.
You don't
But
see
it's
like when
weird.
they
Why
make
do you
it,
add bacon to your asparagus if your asparagus is
Because
so
asparagus
good?
sucks.
But we don't eat pigeon.
I mean, it does.
And a pigeon.
Thank you for being honest
Yeah.
with me.
Well, I mean, as far as, yeah.
It doesn't suck.
Pig-
It's much
Because
better with
pigeon
bacon.
has to taste like crap.
But no, but pigeon's good. It's like a big deal in other parts of the world.
See, if
We
that
just
happened
don't
to-
eat it.
If that happened to pigeons, I'd be like, oh, that sucks, man. You kill all those pigeons.
Pigeons.
Yeah, I like pigeons.
I like pigeons,
don't
but
harm
still,
anybody.
man.
Yeah, because geese are different.
Pigeon's
You
a
know what I
flying
mean?
rat.
They're different. What was on or in the water? 844-999-OLA. Hold the line where your call's coming up. You are listening to the Men's Room Radio Network.
Hola, bitches. You're listening to the Men's Room.
A company that owns a distillery in Kentucky is facing fines from the state after a warehouse collapse. This past week, if you've seen the pictures from this, it is absolutely disturbing. And the reason that it is disturbing in my mind is because the way that bourbon works. Bourbon is one of those things that, depending on the batch that you make, it takes a little bit of time. So these barrels had been stored at this facility for a number of years. There's no telling how long they've been there. Some could have been as long as 17 years to 20 years. Maybe they age for at least a couple, 2 or 3. It just depends. But either way, bourbon takes a little time. So when this storage facility collapsed, it was a big deal. And Sarazac, the parent company of Barton 1792, they are now facing fines from the state of Kentucky up to $25,000 a day after it failed to notify officials about the spill, which killed over 1,000 fish. Over the weekend, dead fish could be seen floating on Withrow Creek and Beach Fork in Bardstown. Is it feasible to say that you could go down, dip your glass into one of these creeks and just have a delicious, non-hot bourbon?
With a bit of dead fish taste added,
yeah, you know what I'm saying? Like,
And what's the other disease you get? Dysentery?
Maybe.
that could be part of it.
We'll find out.
Alcohol is toxic to fish, so any fish ingesting alcohol in the water, it will kill them. That from the Kentucky Energy and Environmental Cabinet.
So why do we keep saying you drink like a fish?
That's a good point, because you're going to die, maybe.
I like the way they do that. Think about this. Director of Communications for the Kentucky Energy and Environment Cabinet. So they must be real big on solar power in Kentucky, I'm thinking. Wouldn't
Clearly.
you? I mean, obviously, if you put the Department of Energy and Environment together, surely you walk hand in hand, right?
Right.
God damn, man. That sounds like, wow, that's a strange pairing, right? Anyway, the collapse happened on Friday when 9,000 barrels came crashing down a Barton 1792 warehouse that is about 40 miles south of Louisville.
Okay.
So if you listen to us there in Lexington, kind of close to you, but man, that was a tragedy.
That is.
The pictures of that stuff were unbelievable.
It's just insane because, you're right. Bourbon takes forever.
It's funny. Someone comment comes in and says, bourbon is at least 4 years old. And then they finish that with, saddest day of my life.
I mean, you look at that picture and you realize how high they stored this bourbon in those barrels.
It's unbelievable.
In the facility, and you kind of get an idea, like, all right, well, that doesn't look like the best place. You know how much a barrel of anything weighs, and there are
we say
thousands
that
of
now.
them sticking up in the air.
If we went there when it was operational, it'd be like, it's one of the most impressive things you've seen. In spite of how heavy it is, they stack, blah, blah, blah. When the thing collapses and you look at the picture, we go, well, that was a dumb idea.
You know what it looks like, man? I was at the one at the Jack Daniels distillery. It looks like something in the Old West. It really looks like you've stepped
it's like
back in
barrels
time.
and hay.
Yeah,
right?
I mean, it really is. Like, look at all these barrels of shine up here. Anybody want any whiskey? Look at all that. Oh, boy.
I'm sure it's exactly what they say at Jack Daniels. Barrels of shine, everybody.
Anybody
dig in.
Get
Get
in.
drunk.
Well, before it gets aged, that's basically what it
That's
is.
what
It's
we
just
do.
Straight moonshine. What was on or in the water? 844-999-OLA.
By the way, before we went to break there, geese came up, right?
Oh, no.
We're talking about, no, listen, geese, they elicit a strong
Are
response.
they
from
universally
people.
hated?
Well, it depends on what. I'll just read you the comments as they came in, all right? No particular order. Geese attacked my car while I was eating lunch looking out at the lake. They are a-holes. I've been dive bombed by geese while playing golf. They are a-holes. I'd knock the F out of a goose and love it. Goose hunting people eat them all the time. They make great jerky. Goose is too goddamn chewy. I just had goose for dinner. It's delicious.
Okay.
We continue.
We've had people who say goose is great.
We asked, well, how come we don't eat squirrels? I believe I asked that. Had squirrel tacos in Oklahoma. They weren't bad. Why don't we eat pigeons? You do eat pigeons. You eat the baby pigeon. They call it a squab. And it goes on and on. People, what I get is people do not like ducks as living creatures, but they are fine with them in any other capacity.
They're delicious.
Yeah, they're delicious and they're okay with that.
What was on or in the water? 844-999-OLA.
Hello, D. Foreigner. Welcome to the men's room.
Hola.
Hello, D. Welcome to the men's room.
Hello, patronas.
Hola.
And,
Welcome to the show. So what was on or in the water?
okay, this is almost by the 80s, 90s, sorry. When I first myself in South America, I crossed the frontier with Colombia. Me and my patrol, we making a search for gorillas in the jungle. Colombia is mostly very, very raining area in the south area.
Oh, wait a minute. Hold on.
Hang on.
We just got to do a station identification real quick. We'll be right back. I thought he was going to go into the cocaine story.
Sorry to let you down, man. I was going to Miles' house.
Yes. We're going to be up until 4 or 5 in the morning, something like that.
Yeah, that's it.
Ryan Castle, the drug and charge, coming in. Sit and Spin today will be the 10 saddest songs in Disney movies. That's coming up here in just a few minutes.
Hola! The shenanigans continue on the Men's Room Radio Network.